There are dark, scary, crazy, weird places inside of me. It's like there are monsters living inside of me. Have you ever had this? Thoughts in your head that just feel so gross and disgusting and hideous that all it does within inside of you is invoke shame and pain and misery? It feels like these parts hate me. They give me anxiety, they give me depression, they give me tension, they give me all the yuckiness that most of us don't ever want to face. They cause me to overeat. They've caused me to undereat. They've caused me to have substance abuse. They've caused me to binge. They've caused me to purge. They've caused me to find anything outside of me that I could possibly cling onto in order to avoid these monsters. What are your monsters like?
Love, Luna.
They come out of the shadows from time to time, or they live within the shadows and they lead me down really dark places. It's like they take over sometimes. And there's these parts in me that make me want to think awful things about people, make me want to do awful things to people. They are really not nice creatures. They come out as if they're emerging out of their inner muck and make me think absolutely horrible thoughts. They cause me to hate myself. They cause me to berate myself. And at times, sometimes they cause me to not want to exist anymore. They want me to harm myself. They want me to sabotage. They want me to procrastinate. At their very least, they just want me to be complacent. They want me to just, They want me to be apathetic. They want me to not care. At their very worst, they want me to not exist. These are the most hidden and deepest parts of our shameful selves. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Self-Love Lessons with Luna. Do you think I'm a bit mad? Is there any element of that? Or do you completely relate to the monsters that are inside? Perhaps they look a little bit different to my monsters. Perhaps they come in different shapes and different sizes and different ways that they permeate your everyday existence. But they're there, aren't they? They exist somewhere inside of you, even if you don't want to admit it. Thank you for joining me on what might be a little bit of an uncomfortable self-love lesson with Luna for this week. If you're joining me on the podcast, hello and welcome. It's great to have you here, as well as those on YouTube, Facebook, and of course Instagram TV when it allows me to upload. So catch me on any of those platforms, and for little tidbits you can catch me on TikTok as well. 1 minute videos less than every day just to give you that real sense of a boost. This episode is about self-hate. Oh, I know it's not nice. I know it's not comfortable. I know that I talk about how to learn how to self-love. So why on earth would I talk about self-hate? Well, I've lived it. I have hated many, many parts of myself. I've hated myself in my entirety. And I know that so many of you do too. Maybe you don't hate all of you, at least not all the time. But somewhere lurking inside of you, if you're watching this video, there's a part of you that has an element of self-hate. And as I said with my monsters, it's not always that I hate them, but sometimes they hate me. Am I alone in this? I doubt it. In fact, I know that I'm not alone in this. Yes, here I am, standing in my space, speaking of my monsters. But whenever I work with clients, whenever we have conversations, particularly clients who are just on the emergence of coming to work with me, one of their biggest fears is actually having to face down some of those monsters, having to walk down those dark tunnels, not necessarily knowing what we're going to find. Because we all have parts of us that we don't really want to show. We all have parts of us that we feel potentially ashamed of. It's because these feelings, these thoughts, these monsters are the most difficult to deal with. For most of us, we have a toxic, destructive, and really even abusive relationship with these monsters that live inside of us. Tell me, how would it be if you could get rid of the monsters? How would it be if you could get rid of them so they no longer have to come in and fight and yell and scream and you have this inner battle that's within inside of you? Who would like that? I hear most of you say, well, duh, of course I would. I would love to get rid of them. That's what I've been trying to do for years. And that's the paradigm, isn't it? The paradigm is push them away. The paradigm is deny them. The paradigm is if I can just hate them enough, if I can push them away enough aside, if I can eat my way so I don't have to face them, if I can watch my way so I don't have to face them, if I can drink, if I can smoke, if I can have sex, if I can do whatever I possibly can to distract myself from those monsters, then they'll go away. Right? Right? But yet, how's that working for you? I know that it never worked for me. Whenever I had that toxic, destructive, abusive relationships with the monsters inside of me, I was the monster. I was toxic. I was destructive. I was abusive. At least to myself, if not to those around me, because they're not nice. We don't agree with what they're saying. They convince us to agree with what they're saying. We don't particularly like them, so why would we want to do anything but push them away? Fact. The more you push away the monsters, the deeper your self-hate becomes. Damn it! Damn it! I will feel like you might be chucking a tantrum right now. Going, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that the more that I push the monsters away, the further away from self-love that I get. I hate to break it to you, but it's the truth. Both within myself and every single client and person I've ever worked with, the more that you deny the parts of you that hate you, the more you hate yourself. Well, I hear you ask, what am I meant to do then? What am I meant to do? I've been battling these monsters in my head my whole life. I've been fighting against them and they just keep winning. I don't seem to be able to shift. No matter how many self-love mantras I do out loud, no matter how much I follow the body positivity, no matter how much I follow the self-love people, I don't seem to be able to figure out how to get rid of these voices. These monsters inside of us. I want you to go ahead and ask yourself this question, and even pause this episode after I've asked it, because it's powerful. Ask yourself this question. What if I could love the hate that resides within me? What if I could love the hate that resides within me? What if you could love the monsters? What if, as they come up within you, you love them instead of hating them? You've tried hating them for so long. You've tried pushing them away. You've tried getting rid of them. You've tried drowning them. You've tried eating them. You've tried distracting them. Yet they're still there. They're a part of you. Perhaps maybe hating them and trying to get rid of them isn't the way forward. Perhaps, in order for us to really clear ourselves and heal ourselves from self-hate, we have to learn to love the ones that we hate inside of us. They're the ones that need the most love. And yes, this can be seen as mind-bogglingly difficult. I can appreciate that. Because how the hell are you going to love those? But aren't they the ones that need your love more than anything? If you learn how to drive a car in a lemon, and then you finally get a car that works, then you're going to know all the bits and bobs and you're going to be a far more effective driver because you'll be able to troubleshoot. Maybe you get some bad habits, but you'll also be well prepared when nothing's automatic, when you have to learn it to drive a car with no power steering, with a really heavy clutch and a stick shift. I tell you what, when you get behind the wheel of an automatic with power steering, it feels like you're driving a go-kart. It's the same with our self-love. If we can practice systematically every single time those monsters come up with inside of us, to send them love. To send them love. We don't have to agree with their thoughts. We don't have to agree or consent to their behavior that they want to bring up inside of us. But if we continue to hate them, they will continue to cause havoc for us. I know, it's radical. I'm here to tell you that I have done this work. I released every single monster outside of me, one by one, bit by bit, and offered a white flag. I offered them a peace offering. I offered to spend time with them, not so they could take over me, which is what they try to do, but simply so they can be heard. My monsters no longer live in the shadows. They're not in the darkness anymore. I'm there and I've spread the light on each and every single one of them, so they don't need to be ashamed to be there anymore. And what I have found in my own experience, and for that of my clients, is that when we shed light and we give a voice to the monsters, ironically, you'll actually find out that they don't hate you as much as you might think. They really don't. Deep down, they actually love you. And they're trying to get your attention. And the more that we ignore them, like a bratty 2-year-old, the louder and more obnoxious they get. Shame creates more shame. Hate creates more hate. Love creates more love. If you can begin to love the monsters that reside within yourself, within your heart, within your being, then you are so well on your way to loving yourself. The rest of the stuff will be easy because you've faced the monsters and the darkness within. I highly recommend you working with somebody through this, whether or not in some kind of group capacity. You reach out online to some of the free resources that, the groups that people have, whether or not you hire a coach or a mentor or somebody who's done it, somebody to guide you through, whether or not that's me, whether or not that's a psychologist, whether or not that's a kinesiologist or a shaman, it doesn't really matter. I recommend that you find a guide to help you work through this. It can be quite confronting to walk into those shadow realms, even if they do reside within you. If you have somebody there holding the torch and holding your hand, it certainly makes the journey a lot more palatable. So this is how I recommend that you begin along this journey. The first one is to recognize that you don't need to agree with the monster. You don't need to have it be on your side necessarily. It doesn't have to be resourceful. It doesn't have to change in any which way in order for you to send it love. In fact, that's probably a really important step here. That step number 1 is just really understanding that when it comes to acceptance, you do not have to agree. This applies with you and it applies with the world. Tip number 2 for dealing with your inner self-hate monster is to really recognize that those monsters are a part of you. Yes, if you keep denying those parts of you, you are denying yourself. They're also not you in your entirety. There is a higher part of you. Whatever you believe in, for me, it's spirit, it's universe. I'm part of a bigger entity that is me. It's the highest part of myself. You are not just the monsters. Yes, they exist within inside of you, but there is a higher part of you. There is a deeper part of you that is so much bigger, so further beyond the monsters, that the shadow realms that the monsters exist in feel like nothingness compared to that. So if you can start to separate yourself from the monsters, then you are able to go, the monsters aren't controlling me, I am my higher self and I can send love to the monsters. You might feel a bit hesitant about this one. You've got to let the monsters out of the cage. And I hear what you're saying, but if I let them out of the cage, they're just going to go bonkers. They're just going to go bananas. They are going to take over, ravage and destroy absolutely everything. I know that that's a possibility. I know what that feels like. The fear of control. Oh my God, if I let them out, they will just devastate my life. They're devastating your life while they're in the cage. Talk to them. Spend some time with them. When they get let out of the cage, do so with the space from your higher self. Do so with the intention of love. Not because they've broken free finally of your discipline of keeping them contained and now they've gone bananas, but you've actually opened the cage for them. You've let them run free. Allow the monsters to be heard. Hear what they have to say to you deep down, underneath all their noise, underneath all their chatter. They're there because they want to keep you safe. They're there because ultimately they love you, and they might say things like you're a piece of shit and I hate you. What they're doing in that moment is giving you an opportunity to choose. Again, this sounds radical. They're giving you an opportunity to choose your higher self or to choose the darkness. If you continue to choose the darkness, the monster, then the monster takes over you. If you choose to be in your higher self, then you can send love to that monster and the monster feels the love that it's always wanted. It's giving you an opportunity to learn how to love yourself even more. What a gift, right? 4. So when we go into that space when we've let them out of the cage, here's what I want you to do. Talk to it. And repeat after me. So say it's depression that's come up. And that depression is heavy there. And you say to the depression, you can repeat after me. Hello, depression. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your input into my life. I can see that all you want me to do is to grow. I want you to know that my higher self is in charge and that you are loved. You are loved and you no longer need to be in control because I've got it. Because I love you. Thank you, depression. These words coming out of your mouth are gonna feel so foreign and so weird and so like, what are you even on about, woman? How on earth could I possibly love depression? You're loving it as the monster, not as you. Do you understand this? There's a separation there. You are the higher self, like a beautiful parent, loving their monster child even when they're chucking a tantrum. You may not like the behavior, you do not agree with the behavior, they need to be taught a lesson, but they do not deserve hate. This is how I want you to start seeing those monsters within. If you can do this, if you can remember that you do not need to agree with them in order to accept them. If you can remember that they are a part of you, but they're not you, certainly not your higher self. If you can let them out of the cage with love, compassion, give the willingness to give them space and to be heard. And number 4, if you can thank them and really give them the love and attention that they need, then you will be so much closer to self-love than you have ever been. And I wish this for you. Are you ready to let go of your overactive mind that's in charge all the time? Ready to let go of the monsters that are controlling you rather than you controlling it? Are you ready to find your inner truth and learn to trust yourself again? To feel that sense of empowerment? Are you ready to heal the wounded relationship within yourself? Are you not really in a position to get some private one-on-one work done with either myself or somebody in the field? Are you looking for a more affordable option, some group work for you to be able to really get these lessons underway? Come and join the tribe of self-love awakening. It's about inner alignment, allowing your inner self-talk to calm down a little bit so that your soul may rise and you can heal your relationship with your body. There's a maximum of 12 women at any point in time. It runs for 8 weeks. You will have access to one-on-one space with me via the group coaching calls, as well as weekly discourses. We're a supportive bunch. We are here to be able to help and guide you through all of the dark tunnels that you want to face. And I would love, so love, for you to join me on this. So join the self-love awakening. Get in touch with me. If you're interested, email loveyourself@moreconfidence.com.au. And if you haven't yet done so, head over to www.moreconfidence.com.au and get your 5 Secrets to Bulletproof Confidence ebook. It's free on there. Just chuck your details in and I'll get that sent to you right away. It is a pleasure to have you across all the platforms. You can follow me on all the social medias. I'm pretty sure you know where to find me by now. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch. I've just come about and come beyond. So that is a new one for me. I would love to see you on any of those platforms. Until next time, I'll see you next week, every Friday. Happy self-loving.